This morning I've been spending some time reading through the new government guidelines that were published yesterday about the strategy going forward in this COVID-19 crisis, and here they are, looking particularly at the implication for churches and places of worship. And it took me back to my days working in the civil service and in local government, of time spent reading policy documents and guidelines and interpreting what that actually means in reality. And what struck me was the title of this is called Our Plan to Rebuild. And it was the word rebuild. One of my absolute favourite chapters in the Bible is Isaiah chapter 61 in the Old Testament. And the verse in particular that I was reminded of was verse 4, which says, "They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations." And it's a chapter that I've gone back to many times. And chapter 61, the beginning of it, Jesus actually quotes in the New Testament just before he starts his mission after his baptism, appropriating those words of Isaiah to himself, as Isaiah prophesied all those centuries before. So today's thought for today is actually just a reading of chapter 61 to see if those ancient words have anything to say to us, perhaps today and going forward. So chapter 61 of Isaiah, the year of the Lord's favour. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favour and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of gladness, instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord, for the display of his splendour. They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. Aliens will shepherd your flocks, foreigners will work your fields and vineyards, and you will be called priests of the Lord. You will be named ministers of our God. You will feed on the wealth of nations, and in their riches you will boast. Instead of their shame, my people receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace, they will rejoice in their inheritance. And so they will inherit a double portion in their land, and everlasting joy will be theirs. For I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and iniquity. In my faithfulness I will reward them and make an everlasting covenant with them. Their descendants will be known among the nations, and their offspring among the people. All who see them will acknowledge that they are a people the Lord has blessed. I delight greatly in the Lord. My soul rejoices in my God. For he has clothed me with garments of salvation and arrayed me in a robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom adorns his head like a priest, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels, for as the soil makes a young plant come up, and a garden causes seeds to grow, so the sovereign Lord will make righteousness and praise spring up before all nations. Amen.